There's nothing in our way. Oh, we are the lucky ones. We dare to be wild and run free. Oh, we are the lucky ones. Lucky you.
Well, you are in for a real treat today. Kelita Haverland is here, and what an incredible voice this lady has, and also what an incredible story. I thank you for coming. I think you've been on with Mike before.
I have, about
Yes.
4 or 5 months ago, I think.
Okay, okay. And you have since then also been involved in a project together. Tell me about that.
We recorded a 6-part series on healing from #metoo.
Wow. Wow. And so how did that series go? Where can we get that?
Well, we can order it right here on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I bet you Mike will talk about that
Yeah.
at the end of the show. Really, you have an incredible journey. Some of the things you've been through could have been very decimating and destroying of someone's life, but you, by the grace of God, are here. You're strong, and you have an incredible voice, and I love that. Tell me a little bit about your journey and sort of your years growing up and sort of the path it took.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Alberta in a farming community, and doesn't matter what environment you're in, but you know that as normal. And but as it turned out, my family life wasn't very normal. My father.
You didn't know that at the time?
No, nothing is spoken out. I mean, so many lies and secrets, behind closed doors. But my father was a closet alcoholic and suffered from depression, and he took his life on our farm when I was 11. And then shortly after that, my mom found out that she had terminal breast cancer, and she passed away a few years later. And then the brother who molested me when I was a preschool girl died of a heroin overdose when I was 17. And so that's
a lot of loss, Kelita.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
What was the hardest of those losses?
Oh boy, I think my mother.
Your mom.
Yeah, I wasn't actually as close to my mother as I was to my father. She was busy running the farm and the ranch and looking after the boys who were older, and so my dad and I hung out a lot when the boys were at school. So when I lost him, it was pretty tragic.
Very traumatic, too, in the way that it happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's very shaming and humiliating, especially in a small farming community.
Everyone knows everyone's business.
Yeah.
And he had taken his life. So was that something that everybody came to know in the community?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you live outside of a town of 3,000,
right.
Yeah, everybody knows.
So very painful.
Very painful, yeah. But the loss of my mother was devastating because it was now 2 parents. So, and then I had a stepfather. My mother remarried in her last year of life and married someone who unfortunately became very abusive.
Right.
Yeah.
So that seems like an unusual amount of pain in one person's life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what happened because of that? With all of that going on, I mean, very, an onslaught of loss. What did that do to you?
Well, it made me resilient. It made me find ways of finding that inner strength.
Beautiful.
And one of those ways, obviously, was my faith.
Right.
And even as a young child, I wasn't brought up in a very strict or religious home. My parents managed to leave the farm, some Sundays and go to church. But it was shortly after my father passed away that I started to write songs. And I knew that was not my doing, that was a gift. And that gift was for me to be able to express myself. And that was just a couple of months after he died.
Right. It says in the Word of God that the olive must be crushed for the oil to be brought forth. And in a way, your gift and the beauty and the depth with which you sing to this very day is maybe because of the crushing that you experienced.
I would say that's true. My music has been my lifeline And it's also been my way of now helping other people and
Right.
helping people on their healing journey. It's something that I can't explain. Yeah.
When you began to write and to pour out from your soul and your pain into words and put it into songs, did you know at the time that this was healing for you? Did you sense God's presence in the midst of that sort of very natural process?
I did in the very beginning, and then I wandered very far away from him. And so my writing was different. And then I also, when I got married at 21, I married into another abusive situation. So during those years, I wasn't really able to express myself because there was so much fear I was living with. And once that marriage ended, then I was again able to really to be raw.
Where was God in those decisions that you made and the pain of an abusive relationship?
Well, I came to know God when I was 14, shortly before my mom passed away, and walked very closely throughout my teenage years. And then I left home at the age of 18 to leave the abusive father and married the first guy that I started going out with. And so I walked away, pardon me, I walked away from God and my church community. And
what do you remember feeling during that time when you were away from him?
oh, I was in a rebellious stage, and I would meet other Christians, and I would meet people that would witness to me, and I felt this. Yeah, there was definitely
a resentment.
Well, no, I didn't. I wasn't
rebellion?
resentment. I felt like, in the back of my mind, like, you've strayed. What are you doing?
Oh, it would bring
yeah.
it would bring a conviction on your heart.
Definitely. Yeah.
And you'd go, I know I should
know.
be living differently.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't though.
How did you turn that around?
Well, I was in a major automobile accident. You know, got flown into a ditch.
Wow.
On the Trans-Canada Highway. I was unscathed, walked away without any injuries. And that was the night, after those 13 years of totally wandering away, that I turned my life around. And
Why? Why do you think that caused you to turn your life around?
well, my life was combusting. It was
Right.
literally hit the ditch.
Did you feel
about
like
it.
this accident was God's way of giving you a shake-up?
Oh, yeah,
Because
totally.
it could have been deadly.
Yeah, it could have been deadly. And when I walked out of the ditch unharmed, I knew that He had saved my life. And 2 days after that, I left my abusive marriage and totally rededicated my life to Him.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know you're walking with Him now in a really powerful way.
Yeah.
We're excited because you're going to have your husband on next
Yeah.
week. And we're going to hear a little bit about your journey together. It's funny that life has a lot of different seasons.
Definitely.
So today, as we close in 30 seconds, you gave your life to God after that accident. How do you feel today?
I feel so grateful that I'm here, that I've outlived
Everything.
5 members of my family,
Wow.
and so much pain and stress.
And through all of it, God's had a plan.
He has.
Yeah.
Always does.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us for this great interview. You know, God has a plan for you as well. And if you've been through some stuff and experienced some loss, I hope that you gain some strength and encouragement from Kelita's story.